In a rapidly changing world where climate change poses an existential threat and the Suez Canal's recent blockage held up an estimated $9.6 billion worth of trade, the quest for alternative shipping routes has never been more urgent. Among these alternatives, the Northern Sea Route emerges as a beacon of hope, offering both an economic lifeline and a path to a more sustainable future. The Northern Sea Route, stretching through the Arctic, has historically been an inhospitable and inaccessible passage. Yet, recent developments, spurred by climate change and technological innovation, have breathed new life into this ancient trade route. As the Arctic experiences a warming trend, the ice that once held the Northern Sea Route in its frozen grip is receding, allowing for increased access and navigation. But the key to unlocking the Northern Sea Route's potential lies in the remarkable advances in icebreaker technology. The Northern Sea Route's appeal is undeniable. When comparing the shipping time and distances between Japan and Rotterdam via the Suez Canal and the Northern Sea Route, the differences are striking. A 30-day 11,500 nautical mile journey becomes an 18-day 6,900 nautical mile voyage. The shift towards the Northern Sea Route is more than a matter of convenience. It's about creating shorter trade routes between the world's most industrialized nations. Such routes lead to a reduced fuel consumption, lower carbon emissions, and faster delivery of goods, all of which align with the global imperative to combat climate change. The Northern Sea Route has experienced remarkable growth, with shipping volumes surging from 10.7 million tonnes in 2017 to surpassing 32 million tonnes in 2020. As the Northern Sea Route becomes increasingly accessible, the Russian Federation has seized the opportunity to assert its geopolitical dominance in the Arctic region. President Vladimir Putin underscored this commitment in 2019, revealing that the Arctic accounted for over 10% of all investments in the Russian Federation. Russia's ambition in the Arctic can be dissected into a tripartite series of interconnected objectives. The first goal is to facilitate increased levels of trade transiting through the Northern Sea Route, with the aim of transporting 80 million tonnes of cargo by 2024. The second objective revolves around the continuous development of extraction facilities and capabilities along Russia's Arctic exclusive economic zone, extending to a minimum of 200 nautical miles from the shore. This vast territory entitles Russia to exploit an estimated $2 trillion worth of mineral reserves, over 34.12 billion barrels of oil, and an astonishing 900 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves. However, the most crucial element of Russia's tripartite objectives is territorial integrity and power projection preeminence within the Arctic sphere. The Arctic has evolved from a zone of competition to an increasingly likely zone of conflict, according to former NATO Commander Admiral James Stavridis. With the ability to exploit newly available Arctic resources while asserting territorial control over the increasingly popular Northern Sea Route, Moscow views securitizing the region through military activity as a prerequisite for safeguarding its interests in the rapidly changing Arctic. These mutually complementing objectives function together in a delicate interplay. Shifting military focus towards the Arctic also spurs the development of icebreaker technology, enabling the passage of military and commercial vessels. This, in turn, allows transport of extracted resources to international markets, securing the geostrategic positions and goals of the Russian Federation. The Northern Sea Route is not just a gateway for trade, it represents a push towards hard power in the Arctic. The Russian Federation has divided its Arctic territory into 3 distinct zones, each with its own specific focus. In the eastern zone, the primary focus is on maintaining a protective dome that secures the vast coastline and vessels travelling between the Bering Strait into and along the Northern Sea Route. Achieving this has required the refurbishment of Cold War-era airfields and the construction of multiple new facilities, including air bases, enhanced search and rescue capabilities, and new radar stations to provide air and maritime awareness. One notable development in this region is the deployment of Sopka-2 radar systems on Wrangel Island, Cape Schmidt, Tix, Chorda, Chersky, and Kalachja. This development also includes an anti-aircraft defense unit in Tiski. The Sopka-2 radar systems play a critical role in detecting both military and commercial vessels, directing maritime traffic along more efficient shipping lanes on the Northern Sea route. In the central Arctic region, the shift towards technological improvement becomes apparent. The region now boasts refurbished as well as new air force and naval bases, Sopka-2 radar deployment, and highly effective air defense systems such as the Bastion P and Pantsir S1. These air and sea defences provide a complex layered coastal defence that secures territory deeper into the central Arctic by reinforcing Russia's ability to deny hostile forces access. The third and last Arctic zone is the Western region, which houses Russia's most advanced and capable military equipment. This region contains numerous fully operable bases, even in remote locations like Alexandraland, equipped with air, sea and land capabilities. These bases safeguard Russia's nuclear arsenal and its second strike ability. In total, 50 previously closed Soviet-era Arctic facilities have been refurbished and become operational, including 13 air bases, 10 radar stations, 20 border outposts, and 10 integrated emergency rescue stations. These elements, combined with the full integration of Russian special forces operating within the Arctic Brigade, demonstrate a gargantuan push to secure unilateral dominance in the Arctic. The redeployment of forces and systems within the Arctic is a growing concern for NATO.
There's little doubt now, with the Northern Sea route beginning to open up, and what we're seeing is increased competition, perhaps starting to emerge around the Arctic.
What's most worrisome for NATO is the deployment of next-generation weaponry actively showcased in the Arctic theatre. These include hypersonic cruise missiles, nuclear-powered torpedo and missile submarines, nuclear undersea drones and anti-submarine aircraft, new aircraft carriers, activated readiness levels, pre-targeted cruise missiles, coastal troop build-ups, and the resurgence of the Northern Fleet. The Northern Fleet after the fall of the Soviet Union was left in disrepair with little to no upkeep, practically abandoned for more than 15 years. In 2008, the first patrols of the Arctic began to resume, and by 2015, the Northern Fleet was demonstrating an increased operational presence consistent with Russia's new maritime doctrine. In 2017, the updated naval strategy was in full effect, with ever-increasing patrols and military exercises expressing clear Arctic ambitions. Based in Seremovosk on the Kola Peninsula, the Northern Fleet's vast Arctic naval base has seen significant investment and expansion in recent years. The naval base now boasts 41 weapons storage bunkers, multiple nuclear and non-nuclear submarine docking stations, various airstrips, surface-to-subsurface assets, the RS-24 Yars defense system, and numerous RSM-56 Balava submarine-launched ballistic missile nuclear silos. The Northern Fleet's base on the Kola Peninsula provides a fantastic position to project power through the Western Arctic and serves as a springboard into the strategic Guk Gap encompassing Greenland, Iceland, the UK and Norway. The Guk Gap is a vital area within the Northern Atlantic for NATO's European North American Sea communications lines. If this area were to be occupied by Russia, the potential for communication disruption would be immeasurable in the two major NATO spheres. With remote military bases securing strategic territory, the concept of bastion defense has been re-established as the dominant form of Russian Arctic securitization. This approach enables an increasingly expansive range of defence with the aim of establishing deep water control between Svalbard and the Guk Gap. This is being assisted by the deployment of highly advanced, fast attack submarines such as the Sierra II class. This increased military ability has been demonstrated to the West through an increase in operational tempo, scale, and the testing of nuclear weapons in the Russian Arctic military exercises over the last 4 years. Not only has there been an emphasis on short warning times, strategic and tactical mobility, but there has also been the largest military exercises since the fall of the USSR. These exercises include the Vostok 18 military exercise, executed in 2018, estimated to involve 300,000 troops, 1,000 fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters, 80 ships, 36,000 tanks, armoured and other vehicles, an exercise unprecedented in scale. The Grom 2019 exercise engaged Russia's strategic nuclear forces, where all legs of the Russian nuclear triad, including land, air, sea, were tested. This exercise included Russian nuclear submarines patrolling the Guk Gap, the launch of 2 nuclear warheads, multiple ballistic missiles, and all 4 of Russia's naval fleets. The most complementing elements of Russia's naval force, specifically the Northern Fleet, is the implementation and development of icebreaker ships. These icebreakers play a vital role in clearing ice in the Arctic to create navigable routes year-round. Russia boasts the largest fleet of nuclear and non-nuclear icebreakers in the world, with more than 40 currently operating and several more under construction. In comparison, the United States, another major Arctic player, has only 2 icebreakers, with only 1 operable. This vast difference has been referred to as the Icebreaker Gap. The Icebreaker Gap led US Coast Guard Commandant Paul Zuknev to emphasize that we are not even in the same league as Russia now. We're not playing in this game at all. The icebreakers are indispensable for Arctic dominance, essential for Russia's military posture, and central to its economic development plan. Many of these icebreakers have also been equipped with 76mm AK-176MA naval guns capable of carrying up to 8 containerized 3M54 caliber supersonic anti-ship cruise missiles. These icebreakers also come equipped with electronic warfare systems and the ability to carry attack helicopters. The icebreaker fleet consists of a variety of generational iterations, both nuclear and diesel-powered, from vessels like the diesel-powered Kapitan Klebinov, which entered service into 1981, to the most modern vessel in service, the Ural LK-60YA class nuclear icebreakers. These cutting-edge nuclear icebreakers can clear ice up to 4 meters thick. 5 of these icebreakers are planned, with 3 already in operation. Even more advanced vessels, the Leader class or Project 10510, are under construction and estimated to be in service by 2027. These icebreakers are set to provide year-round support to vessels, regardless of weather conditions and ice situations. These vessels will be crucial for transporting hydrocarbons from Yamal region deposits to Asian and Pacific Rim countries, further strengthening Russia's economic and geopolitical position. With these highly capable vessels enhancing navigable zones, NATO is expressing concerns about Russia's ability to enter the Atlantic, potentially allowing for a cut-off of the US's ability to transfer forces to Europe in a crisis. As the Northern Sea Route becomes increasingly navigable year-round, the reduced ice class requirements will allow more vessels to access the route, both with and without icebreaker escorts. This, combined with the increasing demand for liquefied natural gas transport from the Yamal region transiting the Northern Sea Route, is heightening competition around physical access and resources. The Russian government has encouraged energy companies to increase exploration activities in the Arctic to benefit from reserves uncovered by melting Arctic ice. The Arctic resource race is on, and the Northern Sea Route is at the heart of it. As the ice continues to recede, global energy demands rise. The Arctic coastal states have rallied to support offshore oil and gas development. This development relies on the ability to traverse the Northern Sea Route for the export of liquefied natural gas, crude oil, and coal. The potential riches are staggering, with approximately 90 billion barrels of oil, 1,669 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, and 44 billion barrels of natural gas liquids. This amounts to 24.3% of the world's known gas reserves located in the Arctic. Within Russia's exclusive economic zone, there is an estimated 40 billion barrels of oil and over 1,000 trillion cubic feet of gas. Many regions remain unsurveyed, leaving the door open for even more substantial discoveries. The estimated value of these resources within Russia's exclusive economic zone alone is an astronomical $2 trillion. But the Arctic's bounty extends beyond hydrocarbons. It includes valuable minerals such as apatite, ceramic raw materials, cobalt, copper, diamonds, gold, gypsum, iron ore, mica, molybdenum, nickel, palladium, platinum, silver, precious stones, tin, titanium, zinc, lead, uranium, platinum group elements, and rare earth elements like tantalum and niobium. These vast reserves represent an economic and geopolitical treasure chest that nations are eager to unlock in their quest for influence and control over the rapidly evolving Arctic. The Arctic's appeal extends beyond its resource wealth. It is about the emergence of a new strategic frontier where major powers are vying for supremacy. The Arctic has shifted from a region of cooperative ventures to one of potential conflict, and the Northern Sea Route plays a central role in this power struggle. As Russia asserts its dominance in the Arctic, the once forgotten Northern Fleet has been resurrected, fortified with advanced weaponry, including hypersonic missiles, nuclear submarines, and state-of-the-art naval assets. The Arctic has become a theatre where strategic military power projection is at the forefront. Russia's extensive fleet of icebreakers is not merely for navigation, but an essential component of its military posture in the Arctic. These icebreakers, armed with advanced weaponry, symbolise Russia's commitment to securing control over Arctic waters, enabling the transport of Arctic resources to international markets, and safeguarding its geopolitical interests. The Arctic is now divided into specific military zones, each with its focus on defending territory, surveillance and power projection. The establishment of protective domes, sophisticated radar systems, air and sea defence mechanisms demonstrate Russia's capability and commitment to solidify its position in the rapidly changing landscape. The emergence of Russia as a dominant Arctic power, coupled with its vast icebreaker fleet, threatens to alter the balance of power in the region. As the Arctic's ice continues to recede, nations are jockeying for their slice of the geopolitical pie, with the northern sea route as the gateway for untapped resources and influence in this evolving cold frontier. The battle for dominance in the Arctic is now in full swing, with the northern sea route at the heart of this high-stakes competition.